Hello and welcome to the AV experience, where I just said Ryan ruins the intro every single time. So I'm here to do it another time. Today, we're going to be talking about what happened last weekend during the Kansas City Crawl. We have all of our hosts, Ryan Kramer, Sheldon Carpenter, Jonathan Von England, and Grant Von...
Yep.
Nailed it. Did I get it? I can never say your last name. How do I say your last name?
No. Van Skok. No. Van Skoik.
Van Skoik.
That's the crazy Dutch accent.
He can't even pronounce it.
He needed 3 tries.
Yeah, he's like, well, I'll get it one time. One of these times. But, guys, is everybody recuperated after last weekend?
Getting there.
Sheldon and I were talking. We both felt like we needed 3 or 4 days to kind of get back to normal. We were both pretty exhausted.
After the crawl,
yeah,
Tony and Mark made me get up at 6 a.m. to go get Projector for Nick.
Can
you wake up at 6 a.m.? Yes. So, Tony, Mark, I'm throwing you under the bus. My wife looked at me when I'm getting out of bed like, what are you doing? Why are you getting out of bed? So it was, yeah. Oh, well, we made it work. So I didn't recover like for you guys for the next couple days, mainly because of that. But I told Jonathan, I think the day, no, it was when you came over to get the Epson. And I told him that this one seemed to go fairly smoothly, less exhausting than normal. Like it wasn't this rapid crap. I got to they're arriving while the next one's going out the door kind of rigmarole. This one felt like it was not as in your face, I guess I'll say.
I'll admit when we were going back and forth on the schedule for a little while there, I was like, oh, wow, that is a lot of space in between. It's going to feel like they're driving the whole time instead of watching demos or talking, whatever. But in the end, that space was needed. That actually ended up being a really good idea.
Did anyone else have failures during their day of demos that they're glad they had that time, aside from me?
I kind of was glad to have the short lunch, or excuse me, the longer lunch, because I did have a little bit of a glitch where I had to do like a restart of the chain. You know?
Yeah, but your whole thing was ridiculously complicated.
And yes, and yet for some reason I thought that it would be perfectly fine. At least I was smart enough to know to like not try to hop back and forth between Atmos music and demo clips, and then back to Atmos clips or music, and then back to clips, right? So I put all my eggs in one basket to have all the audio lined up at the end of the thing, so that way I wouldn't have to worry about, why now on an HDMI sync, right? For whatever reason, the Apple TV 4K is the best device ever if you're ever going to have a chance to have an HDMI sync right away. I don't know why that is. I don't know what they've done.
Maybe.
For me. I've had a better time with the 4K than I have an HTPC.
For the Trinov and the Storm, they have issues with lock-on. Now, they will lock on, but it can take up to 6 seconds for audio to kick in. They have this intentional delay that they do. And we're hoping with the ADAC that Storm's releasing that it fixes itself. But it's just become kind of this norm with those particular pieces of hardware that's normal. Now, you did say that they work all the time. They do work. Like I've never had it not lock on like some other pieces of hardware. But what was the issue that you ran into?
Oh, just like literally, it was just a bad HDMI sync back. Like I was getting a giant green screen. Like it would flash thinking that the signal was going to come back, and then the whole picture would go green.
Oh,
yeah. So
interesting.
Yeah. So like, all right, well, I'm not sure which one of you in the chain is to blame here, and I don't really have time to properly test this. So
you restarted.
I just did the old IT crowd kind of thing. I was like, I turned it off and turned it back on again.
Jonathan, is that what you did when you were trying to troubleshoot your camera? Did you just restart everything?
I'm still messing with it. I'm trying to get a better camera.
No, Jonathan, stop messing with stuff. You turned up some gain, and now I'm picking up a bunch of
better than the webcam that's on this laptop. It's not very good.
Oh God! Like who? It's fine. It's fine. So Ryan had an HDMI handshake issue. Sheldon, did you have any issues, or was yours just butter?
Oh no, I had issues.
A lot of his were self like own goal issues, weren't they?
What
yeah,
happened?
the 4 o'clock group got no subwoofers for half of the demo. I mean, well, the near field was playing and all the TR drivers were playing, but all my substacks were not, because in between the 2 o'clock group and the 4 o'clock group, I was troubleshooting something, so I turned off my main sub so I could hear it better, and I didn't turn it back on. And then like halfway through, I'm like, wait, something's wrong, and then I go back to the laundry room. I'm like, oh, my subs are off. Good job.
1618s weren't.
How does it
In my
take you
defense-
half of a demo to figure out, hey,
Well, because I kept leaving the
16
room.
of my
I would just
18s
start-
aren't on?
I would start a demo, and I'm old, so I need like my rest time. So I'd start a demo, and I go out on the porch on the couch, and I just lay there like, oh, I'm so tired. I'm like, oh, I gotta get back down there. And I
Listen
kept
here,
doing that.
kids. I'll be back in a few minutes. As Sheldon gets his cane and walks out of the room.
That's exactly how it
Yeah.
was.
That's when you know you have Tactile dialed in, when the people aren't even complaining. Like the subs aren't even
Well,
on.
The people,
The people don't know.
well, the 24 was on, but the people that were not, like Tim was one of them, and JD, and like JD later, he was like, I thought, like, man, you've changed. What are you doing? Your system is so much more tame than it used to be.
That's
Yeah.
real funny.
So
Yeah.
they didn't know because they were getting assaulted by the 24.
And the tactile drivers.
All right. That was your issue. Jonathan, did you have anything come up?
No, just bumping the spacebar to pause the J River at one point, but that's lightweight.
Oh, that's
really happened.
nothing.
You
No.
never got J River?
That's nothing.
J River worked.
Yeah, that's
That's
actually what I
weird.
used too. I ended up using their lighter resources tone mapping that JVR Red October.
I did too.
And yeah,
What did you
All right.
set your knit stuff to? And maybe that's getting too deep, but just out of curiosity, did you?
I'll
play
be
with
honest
that?
with you. I don't think that's remotely accurate. I just did it by eye. And what I did is I literally took, I grabbed my MacBook, which has, it's like 1,600 nits, and it's 100% P3, and its accuracy is color accuracy is actually pretty darn decent. So I just dropped the same clip in front of me on the laptop. Look at that. Look at the screen. Go back and forth. And the closest one to it on my setup asked me to put in 20 nits, and I'm like, well, that ain't what it's going on here at all. Plus, I don't know if you've messed with they have something in there for the gamma called an S curve.
Yeah.
Where they I can't remember if they call it crispy or something like that. But
Yes, at the bottom, you're right.
yeah, and you can create your own too. And I made my own one. I copied that, and then I made some tweaks to my own ever so slightly, because it was a little bit too, I don't know. It caused a little bit of sunburn saturation kind of vibe to me that I was trying to get away from when you try to get that slightly more pumped up contrast that comes along for the ride. So
speaking of light meters, something that we noticed while I've been doing all of the stuff that I've been doing in the experience center is that a lot of light meters are not good and not accurate.
How about the
man.
doctor
The
meter
only
one?
thing they're good for is in relation to each other.
So there's some that are very good, but they're
Let's say
expensive.
everyone has. Oh,
Bob, with his, recognized that it was like 20% off.
Yeah.
And that's considerable. That's
yeah,
considerable.
they advertise like plus or minus 3.5 or something, I think.
No.
You mean the $20 light meter from Amazon isn't accurate?
Maybe against other $20 light meters. I don't know. Grant, did you have any issues that popped up?
So I'm the only one that used physical media, right?
Baby.
Listen here,
What?
Pipsqueaks. I'm going to go back to the UHD player, and we're going to put in some physical media. Give me 1 minute.
Yeah.
Well, it's
There he
all
is.
zeros and one off physical media.
So
So
I had one instance of one disc that didn't want to play, and then I tried to get it, and it played right away. Thank goodness. But for a second there, I thought, am I gonna have
What disc player are you using? Is it an Oppo?
Yeah,
Which one?
203.
2 or
Oh.
3.
Okay.
You got some disc rot happening, maybe.
No such thing. I'm gonna die before my
Disc
discs
rot.
rot. I'm not
We're
worried
supposed
about
to be
it.
real. The plastic. decays
I'll
and-
literally die before disc rot. Everybody asks me that, like, I can't believe you collect physical media. Aren't you worried about it? I'm like, I'm not gonna live forever, folks. I'll be in the ground.
Did you just
before
pound the
disc
table?
rot
I like
happens.
that.
Next year, he's going to try and play a bunch of stuff, and it's just not going to work.
we'll see. But that only that one issue, and that's never. I've always had issues, so this it was great.
So that's all you guys had.
Yeah,
Minor
and
inconveniences.
and every and my sync issues happened over the lunch hour. So like there was nobody there. Like the closest I had to an actual issue was I think I started playing one immersive audio track and it was skipping, so I restarted the Apple TV, which took about 15 seconds, I think, and then that was the one glitch I had for the day. So not bad at all compared to like some of the ones in the past where some people like literally had half the demo time get sucked away because something did not go according to plan.
Right.
So, yeah.
Oh, I forgot. I blew a Tactile driver, I think. And I've not like those JBL 12s. I've never blown anything before, so I'm kind of surprised. It was the one in the couch, like right behind your back. Something's rattling back there when you crank it way up.
Immersion.
You
When
think
the
it was
driver
because there might have
exploded.
been like people against the driver, like right? The proximity might have got to where it was touching the cone.
I think I blame Tony.
He's probably watching.
Yeah.
He does watch.
And I
Well, I hope
blame
he is.
Mark. No, I'm kidding. I don't know. It might be something else in the couch that's just rattling. It's not a big deal. But if I don't have it totally cranked up to crazy levels, it's fine. And I have spares that I can swap out. So
Yes. Spares.
you got to have spares of those JBL 12s. I mean, look at Brian Fellers. He's
Got
probably
80 of them.
yeah, and he probably has way more than that just sitting around waiting
He's
to
at
do
the
something.
wiring stage now. He's been talking to me about what amp to use and how to wire it with impedance and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Coming along, 80 12s. That'll be something to experience.
That's crazy.
Wow.
That's crazy.
That'll be fun though.
If he ever finishes it.
Well, it's there.
He's
got
He's
all the
making
holes
good
cut.
progress last I
Is he?
heard.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
He's ready to start putting drivers in the holes.
okay. Well, that's good. I'm glad the progress has made it that far. I was worried that things were going to come to a standstill and not go anywhere after that.
How many amps / how is he wiring those things?
It's going to be one
he's
Behringer
looking-
A800. Everything's going to be in parallel.
It's gonna all run off one Lay Pi T amp.
Yep, that's it.
Oh, yeah.
No, he's like looking at those CVR amps, which Sheldon has one, I think.
I got two.
Yeah. So they have some pretty powerful ones by rating. I have no idea if the ratings are legit or even
Yeah,
close
they're
to.
legit.
So he's going to run
far
240
as I
volt
know.
power. I think the one he's going to run is he's going to run 2 4-channel that might put out like 8,000 watts per channel or something like that on 240 volt, which sounds ridiculous. Like I don't really believe it. I wonder if it's just
Something like
peak
that.
power. But anyway, they're serious amps. I think it's a DSP 3004 or something like that from
Yeah.
CVR.
3004.
It's their most powerful amp, and he's going to get 2 of them. They're not expensive. It's like $1,700 for that, and it's supposed to put out ridiculous power.
Okay.
It might let out the
If
magic
you-
smoke. Like,
Yeah, if you buy them direct from China, it's that. If you don't, then each amp is like that. Does that make sense?
No.
So 17.
I was
So, like,
wondering if
17
like, we
1700
weren't
for,
picking
like,
up on
2
something
amps
from this side
if
of the
you buy
camera.
direct from China.
Okay.
And I think on Amazon it's like 1,300 if you buy on Amazon. So
Each.
each, yeah.
So
Okay.
the next question that you had, Chirpy, was how is he going to wire them? He's got 80 subs. He's going to wire them in batches of 10. So that's 8 channels, and he'll have 2 amps. And they will be an impedance of 1.6 ohm for 10 drivers. We looked that up on AI. Actually, we went to Bing Copilot to ask how to wire it, and it was like crazy. It wasn't right at all. We went to Grok, and Grok got it. Grok figured it out. So 1.6 ohm. And those he's got to write CVR and make sure they're good for 1.6. They're rated for 2, but
When he was texting me, he was thinking about doing it different so that he'd have a 4 ohm load.
well, this was like last night. So
Oh, okay. So he texted me and he was like, "Yeah, guy doesn't know. I'm texting John."
well, I had to ask AI because I was thinking like I don't know if you can get a 2 or a 4, but 1.6 works.
See
Yeah,
if
that's
the
funny.
I
He's,
think-
he's getting up 2 different sources. So which one of you is Gronk and which one of you is ChatGPT?
Bing Copilot was the one that was awful.
Oh,
He sent me a thing and it was like wire 4 of them onto one and then wire another pair in series and you'll get like the 2 ohm perfectly. And I was like, you can't match 8 drivers and 2 drivers as like the pairing to cut your resistance in half. That doesn't work. So
No.
I said, throw that out. Let's go to Grok.
Grok got it.
Grok, however you say it.
Gronk?
Twitter's
Gronkowski?
X's version.
Well, you guys got off easy.
Yeah. Tell your
Yeah, let's.
tale.
So I
yeah,
wanna
we
tell
all
my
know that
story?
You had just a slight mishap.
You were standing right there when it
I
happened.
guess I'll
right?
tell. I guess I'll tell the story. So the amps that I have were set to get replaced. There was an issue that came up, and this happens with anything. There was an issue that came up that these amps were having issues with certain things, and they got replaced. Right, they got replaced with a totally different model. Awesome of the manufacturer. No cost to me. It was just they took care of it. Well, these amps have a tendency to
Picture
fail
locked up.
sometimes. And
Oh, it's muted.
I thought when I got the amps on Thursday,
Oh,
and I was going from 5 amps to 7 amps.
How long have we been locked up?
who knows the whole time?
Who do I hear talking?
Sheldon.
Oh, their screen froze, and I'm like, who's talking? And
Are you
it's-
hearing us? We were
Sorry,
muted.
Jonathan
Yeah.
said we were muted.
No,
We're also
you weren't
frozen.
muted. You are
That's what we
also
were talking about.
frozen.
Like, why are we frozen?
Oh, we're muted. Let's talk about how the Ryans suck.
No. No, it's got both mics going here. That's why.
So anyway, I got the amps on Thursday, and I elected to think, well, it's not a good idea to change stuff right before you're going to do a demo or an event or anything like that. I had one 32 that wasn't working, so I put in 1 amp and got the 32 back up and operational. So everything's going swimmingly. Everything's working. The 32's working. Tony, Mark, and Chris came in. They thought everything sounded great. And then Saturday rolls around. We run demos. First 2 sets of demos. So I had my room is supposed to seat 3, but we can fit 6. So they were groups of 11 or 12. So we did 2 groups. One group would go to the demo. The other group would go with me. We'd go look at the racks. We'd listen to the blades upstairs. We'd talk about story of like my journey and what happened with the theater and all that stuff. So we go through the first group, second group. So session 1's done. Third and fourth group, session 2's done. Third group, the first session of that group goes great. Or sorry, no, it doesn't go great. About halfway through that group, was it that group? Sorry. First session of that group goes great. Second session, what ends up happening is about halfway through, they hear a boom. And they heard it from in the theater. And what I heard from people was, we thought that was just immersion. Like we thought that was part of what was what was going on. But what actually happened is I was with the other group talking back in a back room in front of the racks. And I was going, we've got X number of circuits. We've got this number of 150 amp circuit or 150 volt circuits. This is the Storm. This is the Trinov. Then you've got the sub amps. And total output is 165. Boom! And then one of the amps exploded. And one of the caps had exploded. So you saw a bright flash. And one of the guys was actually leaning down looking at it. And it scared the crap out of him when it went off. So when that happened, that amp just died. So when that amp died, unfortunately, that was the amp driving half of my 21s. So then I was down to 4 21s. And that group finished, and I had to decide, what do I do? Do I run on 4 21s, 32s, and the 50, or do I try and risk it and rewire everything? So what I ended up doing was caution to the wind and decided to rewire everything. So we pulled all those amps out. So it was 5 amps, pulled them out, racked 7 amps. And then at this point, I've realized, because I forgot, even after I put that other amp in, oh no, they take a different power connector. So now I have to rewire all of the power cables to get that working. So then I get all the amps operational. And then you have to figure out all the delays, because all the delays are different, because you're going from a DSP amp to a non-DSP amp. And so then you had to mess with the delays. Then you had to go check phasing. And I'm trying to get all of this done by ear. And we got it mostly done in about an hour and a little over an hour, I think it was. So I don't think anybody missed their demo. They missed part of one of them, but that was my mishap. that occurred.
This also reminds me of what you and I were talking about once upon a time when you took a peek into my equipment closet and you're like, I'm glad I'm not, it's nice to see that I'm not the only one who has like OCD, like wiring everything like hooked up perfectly and tied down on the back. And this is exactly why I probably never will, because something like that is inevitably going to always be happening.
Well, I've had this issue with HDMI. I got 15 HDMI cables in my ceiling. Not that I keep blowing them up, but trying to find the correct one, and then it ends up you have so much crap.
And the next people who own this house are going to be so confused.
So confused. So confused, but so much crap, and then it just ends up looking like a hornet's nest. So at one point it did look good, and then it stopped looking good, and I've just given up at this point. So now I'm having to figure out, how do I turn these amps on through automation? Because they just have a power switch. They don't have a 12-volt trigger. They don't have anything. So I think I've settled on like a Shelly relay, but I had to find one that'll do 240 and enough amperage. And there is one. So I think I'm just going to use a relay, and they've got some open API stuff. So we'll use that.
Sweet.
Yeah. So that was my mishap. What was, totally change of topic, everybody, all the guests, what did they like most about your room? What was the thing that came up? Grant, we ended with you, so let's start with you this time. I'm picking on you.
I was not paying attention. I was trying to respond to Paul, who was asking what I was eating. But
teacher called on you, Grant.
Bunch detention.
Teacher asking, like, and who was the president of the United States?
I didn't mean to do that.
Cuba shit happened.
What do you think people responded to most positively at your stop, getting the vibe from them? I think that's what the question was.
That was the question.
I think they responded to I would say the noise floor in the room was most impressive, only because I think that was a difference in most of the rooms that they've heard. They probably didn't expect that. So that's probably one of the big things. Interestingly, I got a lot of questions that I didn't even know the answer to, and everybody's asking me a lot about, how much I fussed over RT60 times and all that. And the truth is, I think I probably overdamped my room, and I think that's maybe what they're responding to. And it's something I noticed too, just like by ear, as I think it's probably overdamped. And so I had almost everybody asked about that. And I mean, this week I almost ripped my panels apart and just started tearing off treatments, just in response to everybody's questions about, I know a lot of people are obsessing right now. It's like RT60 is like a really big deal. So I think it's just out there in the community, and people are really all over it. And I think that I have probably some work to do in that area, but I also don't hate the way it sounds now either. So it's kind of this weird thing. It's like, I don't want to ruin what I have, but that's the thing, is like, if you become too complacent and think that you have it all figured out, you're going nowhere. And like, you think about, if we would have stopped 10 years ago, are you kidding me? Our rooms wouldn't be anywhere close to where they are now. So you got to keep trying, and maybe make a misstep, but I think they responded to that, and some of the things they responded to was like, made me question what I'm doing, which is good.
That's always good. Questions leading to your own positive thoughts of, what do I need to do to improve the space, are always a positive thing. That's good. Glad that happened. At least for you, you're trending in the opposite direction to what most people are with RT60 times, right? You're potentially having to take things out instead of put things in, which I think is easier. Because you don't have to chase anything. You're just taking material out or putting more reflective surfaces in. So that's nice. That's nice. Jonathan, I'm interrupting your troubleshooting. Oh, no, he froze.
He's off.
Yeah, you thought you were gonna.
Oh, he's back.
Jonathan, what did everybody say about your room?
I don't know if you guys are going to hear us. Can you hear us right now?
Yeah.
We're cutting in and out.
We're freezing. We're frozen.
You're frozen again.
But we got your audio.
If you can hear us, that's fine.
Yeah.
We'll make sure and do a good pose for the next time it freezes. People seem to like the music in here. They said as much. And that's how I did the first probably 20, 30 minutes of my demo was just showcasing Dolby Atmos music. People like the tactile transducers, said they were integrated well, but there's all kinds of like feelings on that or thoughts on that. Kind of a funny story. He's in the chat here. A guy named Kevin from the local Kansas City group was like he craves much more tactile feedback than what my subjective preference is. And at one point he's like, your tactile feedback isn't even on the front row. And it's like, yeah, it is. It's dialed into the way I like it. And he's like, it's not on. And I said, it's on. So then he was telling me later that he really likes Sheldon's room for tactile feedback. So, like it's kind of cool because everybody has their preferences, the way they set it up, the way they use it. And the crowd falls into their own preferences and likes that based on what they like. So you got a kind of a different feel for that throughout the day. I like kind of lower tactile. I try to make it feel mostly like just acoustic energy, like the subs are doing it, and I'm on a wooden floor. I'm just trying to kind of replicate that. Is all. So that's where my head's at.
So yours was tactile.
Some people like that. Some people want more.
That is very true. Sheldon, what about you?
Well, so I did my tactile 3 different ways. I had quote unquote subtle, normal, and crazy on my mini DSP for 3 different presets. So some of my clips were like Jonathan saying subtle, where I wanted to feel like it was just the subs doing it. And then normal is how I watch movies, and then crazy was like 15 dBs above that on the mini.
How Kevin likes it.
Oh, I thought you were going to say 15 dB house curve, and he just went 15 dB above my normal.
So, but no. I mean, I'm sure some people. I only did it on 3 scenes where I like let it loose, and they're all pretty short. Like the Hacksaw Ridge ship cannons was one example where it's just real quick. So I'm sure some people like absolutely did not like that because it's pretty crazy. But then other people wanted me to leave it on that the entire time. Like, go back to the crazy level. What are we doing? So yeah, so everybody likes it.
Was like what Jonathan said, everybody wanting different things for the bass feel.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I made sure that I let people know, by the way, that when they're in my back row with their head right next to the boundary, that's where Sheldon likes it.
That's the best seat in the house.
The guys that just came from Sheldon's place, like, yep, that tracks. Because it's like 10.
I love that seat in your room, Grant.
What?
I love that seat in your room.
Yeah, right. So I told people, and they were not surprised.
Ryan, what about you?
I think probably people responded really positively to the little custom open intro demo thing that I made.
Yeah. I went after you, and that's all I heard. Brian's intro was amazing. Brian's intro was amazing. Brian's intro was amazing.
He got like a standing round of applause.
I already got 3 different groups that applauded.
It's actually true. I had 3 groups do a clap break, and that was actually the first time I've ran into that before. So that was very sweet of everybody who, was trying to pump me up. So yeah, that was actually pretty cool.
I did not get that. I got like, what are you doing? Turn the tactile down.
Yeah, but no, for the edification of the at-home audience who might not know what's going on, I did sort of a weird thing where people like light up their equipment behind their screen, right, with like LED lights. So I did that with my LED lights, where I had like a motion marching kind of marquee kind of thing going that would light up the subwoofer drivers and the back plates of the left, center, rights. But while that's going on, I projected on top of it as well. So and had motion graphics trace over the speakers, right, while like throwing up some quick and dirty facts about the room. And I used AI to get a British lady to do the voice. I uploaded my voice first so I could get the cadence and stuff like that, right? But then that way it was it just, it was like one of those kind of cheesy but kind of fun, like 4D kind of effects, like what they do with like the cheaper version versus what they might do at the Magic Kingdom, where they're projecting on the side of the castle kind of thing.
I don't know anything about cheaper versions. Some of my guests straight up said it was like a Disney World experience in there. They said it was like top tier.
Well, that was sweet.
So I think you're underselling it.
And I had to follow this.
But you
Every
followed
single
it with better
person,
picture and sound. So the whole
every
point
single
of the stinking call in
person.
the first place.
Ryan, I came from Chirpy's and it was amazing. His intro was amazing. We clapped. Like, oh.
We stood and we clapped, and then we stood again and clapped some more. Oh,
But
they wanted to see your black swans outlined like Chirpy had done.
And I've just got pieces of equipment blowing up and just yeah. It was,
well, then maybe that's part of the reason why maybe they thought it was all part of the show, right? It was like, oh wow, now
Ryan
the
made
other
this, and this must have been part of the show.
They didn't realize that
most
they were trying to
real
reenact some sort of
This is the
final
most
destination
real
stuff.
catastrophic failure I've ever experienced. It's because it was real.
You were
Mine-
supposed to die at Moltar's, and now
Yeah.
death is coming for us.
Nobody, funnily enough, because I was right there when I'd open the door, because I opened the door to let the guests out, because I'd lock them in. They couldn't get out. I didn't really do that. But I'd open the door, and every single time, no one said anything about the audio. It was the projector. That they just said that Godzilla versus Kong and
That's the one.
Pacific Rim was out of control.
That's the one.
Yeah.
I'll tell you.
How many nits were you running?
I love the
All of them.
314.
All the nits.
314. Yeah.
I love the projector, but every time I go over to your place, Ryan, like the thing that like I want someday, and I don't know how I'm gonna get it. Your lower mid bass is so spot on.
I don't know anymore.
Well, or it was once upon a time.
I think I got it back.
Yeah.
After a long time, though I'm a little concerned because on the Storm, my room curve just goes like this and it doesn't stop. It just keeps going. There's no roll off. My mic stops measuring at like 8 hertz and it's still going. There's no like fall off, but I have no idea what happens. And I'm a little worried with the 50 being 3 feet from me. If I'm gonna one day, my wife's gonna open the door and I'm just gonna be dead. And the 50 is gonna have killed me for something. Because I haven't really played anything that's that low. I've played down to 20 hertz and it's okay, but something's gonna sneak up on me and I might die.
You have put into your
Projector.
will that you're going to be buried in the 50-inch, right?
No. There may
Oh,
be too
come
much
on.
racing.
So
Maybe too
I've
much
talked to
racing.
one of the guests about this. I have a real concern in your room, Ryan, and I'm always in the back of my mind. Your speakers are what sensitivity? Your Black Swans,
117.
and they have do they have like a 2,000 watt amp on them or something?
200.
I thought you had like a 2,000 at one point. Is that
No.
not right?
No, they're
Okay,
200.
even with 200, like if something goes wrong,
You get
like
full
an
power
Apple
to it.
TV
it's not going to be
experience,
good.
an Apple TV experience where the
Yeah.
remote gets stuck.
More and more and more.
Yeah, it
The
would
people will
be.
come out of your room with blood coming from their ears.
So there's actually no, there's not. There's not currently. I was going to say there's actually a limit, and there's not. So yeah, that could absolutely happen.
Yeah. Well, that came to mind when I heard your amp blew up because I was thinking it's like one step away from just
Yeah,
reckless abandon with volume.
Hey, and they're
Well,
locked in. They're locked
I
in.
have to be, so I told my guests too that I have to be really careful in that room because the amount of how little distortion there is. I'll find myself, and I will when I'm watching music have an SPL meter up because there's times when I haven't, and then I've gone to check and I'm at like 140, 145 plus, and I'm like, oh my god, I'm in here
Yeah, but
jamming out.
Not with the highs. That's got to be bass, or you would
No,
not.
it's
be getting it done.
it's up. Everything went up together. I didn't just turn up the bass. It was everything was going up.
Ryan,
was-
it's all red all the time. Remember, like you listen to music, like red.
But here's the thing,
Everything's
actually.
red as long as blood's coming out of your eyes. I mean, it
That's
just masks
the
the
thing.
feeling of everything.
I'll admit that's something I keep on looking into, and now I'm being a little bit more careful about. And that's this idea that like lower mid bass, and I'm not saying like down to 10 hertz or whatever, but like lower mid bass. Let's say in the 60s, 40s, 30s. Actually, they're getting more and more data that's saying you might want to be a little bit careful because it actually can damage your hearing in a slightly different way, and it does it broadband across the range, which is part of the reason why people don't realize that's what's causing it, because it's not like the highs.
Yeah,
The
but
highs
if you
are
don't
like
realize it,
Yeah,
until
it
you're
hits you at
deaf.
like 1200 hertz or 10,000 hertz, and then it damages specifically that section or whatever. Whereas this one's a little bit more sinister.
Ryan,
So-
yeah, I saw a study on that. It was specifically 60 hertz
Yeah,
that they didn't realize was so damaging. And what really stinks about that is earplugs didn't help too much. It
yeah,
kind of
earplugs
bypassed
didn't help.
the earplug.
And that's an awesome sound and Tactile.
I go to a
doing
lot
that
of
50
concerts.
hertz.
Yeah. What?
Huh?
I mean, I'm already in my 50s and I can still kind of hear, so I don't care anymore.
So that was everybody's favorite, or what they heard the most. Is there anything that you guys would change? So
Oh, with money.
About the way we did the
yeah,
whole
with
tour
how we
unique-
did it. Yeah.
Yeah, for other people
So-
that want to do this around.
So
you know,
let's
the
talk
community.
about. Let's start with Jonathan and Sheldon first this time. Sheldon, go ahead, because I picked on Jonathan last time.
Anything I would change?
Like during, not in the room, but for the
Well,
demo.
overall, the way it was set up, maybe we already talked about this, but I love this. The schedule I would not change. When we do it again, we need to do this schedule again.
Good, because we're scheduling it for next month.
Stuff not in the room.
What do you mean?
Oh, did you say things that?
No, like what would you change for if you did the demos again?
Yeah.
It could be anything.
Oh.
Just what would you change if you were doing this again?
Run it hot
No,
the whole
no.
time, or swap out some other
Not
clips
forget to
because we
turn your
weren't
Well-
subs
listening.
on.
Yeah, turn the subs on for one. No, I kind of wish I got more feedback on the thread about the clips, because there were some clips I wasn't so sure about, like Paddington 2, which is an awesome movie. I don't care what anybody says. I love that movie. So I didn't get the feedback from people like, why'd you put Paddington 2 in here? Or one of my longest clips, it was 9 minutes long, from House of the Dragon on the most recent, like, second season.
9 minutes?
Yeah, where
Wow.
they introduce all the people to see if one of them will, like, can control the dragon or whatever, and then of course he
Mhm.
flips out and starts killing everybody. And then I put Paddington 2 right after that to kind of change the vibe.
People getting eaten. Paddington 2. Yeah.
We'll call that one
So-
a palate cleanser.
Yeah, well, I wonder what kind of what they thought of some of those clips, but I don't think I'm answering the question very
You are. You wish you got more feedback on the demo material.
Yeah.
Jonathan, what about you?
I wish the audience told me more.
Yeah. This clip sucks.
I still think it'd be fun to kind of mix things up a little bit. Like, I've done enough demos in here now that I'm comfortable with what happened, and that's my usual routine, and I wouldn't change anything because that's kind of what I've been doing. But what I think would be fun sometime is maybe smaller groups. Like, the groups were a little bit large, and at the end of the day,
Yeah.
when they were kind of shrunk down, it was better. It was
Oh,
better
so
when
much.
there was 6 or 8 in my room instead of 12.
Mhm.
That would have been great.
Now, how do you
Kramer's
get
like,
around that,
bring them
though?
on. I could have fit 30 people.
So what is that? That's like 2 days of doing demos or fewer people, or how do you pull that
I
off?
don't,
even?
I don't know. It
Yeah,
might just
that's just
be
it.
less. It might be a pop cap of less.
Yeah, because my wife won't let me do back-to-back days.
And I also think it'd be fun to switch it up in the context of, like, all right, the order, we'd map it out where you watch an actual movie, and you watch 30 minutes at each person's house. You pick like a Lord of the Rings. They go through the day and they watch Lord of the Rings in 5 different theaters, 30 minutes a pop. I mean, that's something I always thought would be fun to do.
We need to do that with just local guys.
I
Just,
agree.
Yeah.
I agree
Local
that'd be
guys,
fun.
yes. I feel like if you're doing that, it can become a competition.
Yeah, like
Isn't it?
I'd play
Isn't it
mine at
already?
72
Well,
DVDs.
I mean,
Yeah.
that happens a little bit regardless, but
Yeah, but when you're watching the same clip, I feel
True.
like
Not
Yeah.
the same clips, what same movie.
the same
Yeah.
part of the movie.
No,
No.
like
the
continuing.
whole
Yeah.
some
runtime,
people are
like-
going to be mad that they got only dialogue.
Well, then I just want I want to play
I want the ring drop.
Fellowship of the Ring, and I just want Hobbiton. I just want the Shire. It's all I want. Just nothing.
You get the
I think
fireworks.
if you did 30 or 40 minutes of a movie clip, you'd get enough in there, especially a good, like, tier 1 movie. I think
Maybe.
it could be fun. And you could still do music on the side or whatever to kind of
How
introduce your
many
theater.
tier 1 movies has Jonathan
There's not that
seen?
many. There's not that many good
There's
ones.
not.
No, I mean that you've ever seen.
John Wick
Good.
4 would have
Good
enough
man?
demo
Nope.
material because it just goes gunshots for like 2.5 hours. It's 2.5 hours of him just falling downstairs and getting hit by cars.
Mm-hmm.
It also
That
would
could
make a little bit more exciting for the host, so you're not watching the same thing over again. Because I don't know about you guys, but I watch the same clips so many times over the years, and even preparing for this, which leads me to another funny story. I had my kids come down and watch my demo clip rotation with me, and I asked them, "Is there anything you would remove from this? Is there anything you would take out?" And like, take out Leaf. That one's dumb.
Yes.
I said I can't take that one out. That's the one we agreed everyone would play. They're like, well, that's the only one I'd take out.
It's really hard to get something meaningful, impactful inside of 1 minute.
Yeah.
I've started doing demos where, and Kaleidoscape thankfully lets me do this, where I just shut the door and let it go. So I'm not even in the room. I'm out of the room. So I don't have to go through the same thing.
It sounds like 3 of you guys did that, but Grant and I did not. I was introducing clips and talking through stuff. And
no, I was too, and I didn't leave every time, but yeah,
I just let mine run this through a list,
Let it
but I
run.
stayed in the room just because of paranoia. You know, could have something blow up in the room. Who knows?
I think they were all afraid of my projector, so nobody got out.
Aren't on.
And here's an anecdotal story too. Like, it's almost like you were talking earlier, Sheldon, about feedback from clips and whatnot, and like what people might respond to. And it can be so random. As an example, I had a person who walked up to me real fast after we went through the demos, and he said, "Hey, what was that one movie with the cat or whatever?" I said, "Oh, that was Flow." And he said, "I got to tell you, that one got to me. Like that cat looks just like our pet cat at home, and he's just not very long for this world, and it's going to be rough when it happens. And the way that scene plays out has sort of an ethereal letting go into the next life kind of vibe to it, right?" And he was like, "Yeah, that one really spoke to me." And so it was I would not consider that clip like be all end all audio, be all end all visual, but I wanted it in there because I liked the vibe that it placed at that particular point in the demo. And it just so happened that, yeah, it did affect somebody, and you'll never know until it happens.
So hang on. So Ryan is making people clap and cry. I'd say if it's a competition, you have won, my friend.
They watched my demo and they literally weeped.
I don't think there was weeping.
Picking the saddest part of the movie. Like, let's choose.
I wouldn't leave the room either. If I
First 10
had
minutes
that
of
kind
up.
of feedback, I stay in the room and just like take it in.
So that's the challenge of the next crawl.
So do
Making
you guys
them cry?
Do you guys agree with this? So Derek Harrell says it would be helpful to give a quick intro for each clip and why you chose it and what you're wanting to highlight in that clip. Do you agree with this?
Sort of. I did
don't.
this once upon a time, sort of. What I did was, did anybody ever have like those old, or they still make them, like you buy some Marvel superhero cards, right? And on the back of them, they have like their strength rating, their intelligence rating on like a 0 through 5 or a 0 through 10, and the meters are filled up. Well, I did that on our previous crawl where I had like graphics that would like sort of like quick explain, you know, these strengths of the clip that you're about to play, right? And then the last, so like it would be like, you know, like bass would have a meter, surround activity would have a meter, and then the last one would be like the joke for the clip or whatever. So like if I think one was Tai Lung escapes from prison from Kung Fu Panda, that was one of the clips, and then the bottom meter said animal abuse, and it's like maxed out, right? You know, just that kind of thing, just like set the stage. But the pro side of doing something like that was it was a quick way to like give people the vibe of what they're about to watch. The con was it was a lot of work because you have to do motion graphics for each clip you want to display. And then if you try to explain each clip before you play it, then that out of an hour 10-minute demo, you might be 10 minutes soaked up just from explaining clips too, right? Yeah. So there's the pros and cons, at least that like pop into my head right away.
The problem I have with it is you set an expectation, and everybody's expectations based on those ratings are totally different. Like if I tell somebody this is going to be 10 out of 10 bass, some people are going to think like tactile feel, Some people are going to think overall level. Some people are going to think real life immersion. And those things that we show are going to be different for every person. And I look at it as kind of what people do during demos. They set an expectation, they set a bias, and then people have a tendency to go towards that bias. To me, and that's doesn't mean that it's wrong. To me, I just like people drawing their own conclusions and maybe explaining at the
fair
things
point.
at the end.
It's kind of like when you go to some of those hi-fi shows and they play the clip and they don't say anything before they play the clip, and then they go and play it again and tell you what you're going to hear that you didn't hear before.
And then
it's literally that where you can lead the audience to a certain direction if you're not careful, which like in that situation, that's a little bit mischievous. In this situation, it's not as bad, but it does, as you're talking about, sort of little bit destroy where their mind could potentially go on their own if you weren't trying to bias it.
I like the idea of maybe hitting somebody with something they don't expect, right? Because if they're caught off guard, it's more memorable, in my opinion.
Now you've convinced me. I was like, yeah, that's a good idea. Now I'm like, no. I'm very easy to persuade. You got me.
It's less work too.
I'm trying to remember. I think it was last year's M-Wave. One of the rooms played, was it Angry Birds or Angry Birds 2? And they played it just for the picture quality, and there wasn't necessarily anything bombastic going on. And the guy there was almost disappointed because people who kept on, after the demo was over, they were always confused why it was even in the list. And like, well, not everything has to explode.
Yeah.
What he was trying to tell them.
Yeah.
Grant, did you see that Chris or Miss Grant had said he asked about your acoustics in your room and thought it sounded really good? Your
okay. Oh, good.
RT60. What is your RT60, by the way?
I don't know.
2?
I just had
0.2, whatever it is.
Yeah, it is lower.
I know you want to be between. It's a 2 and a 4. It's either 0.2 and 0.4 or 2 and 4. Do you know?
Yeah, mine's lower.
And mine's at like right on 2 or 0.2, whichever.
Oh yeah, so yours
it'll depend on the size of your room too, on that number going up and down. Like if you have a large room, 0.4-ish is, you know, in the 650 square feet. And then it like when you get to like 300 square feet or whatever, or if you want to do cubic volume, then yeah, 0.20, that would be fairly dead.
I know, and that I don't feel like my room is, but that's what it always measures. So
well, I like a fairly dead sound, by the way. I know that's sacrilegious, but I probably like Grant's room as it is, which, by the way, I've never been there.
Are you sure you've never been here?
Can we should have like the hosts and a few others like do our own crawl later this summer. If we should. Of course, I don't have a job in the summer, so
I think we say that every time.
All right, I'm going to
organize it. Time
we're doing it next week.
It's never done it.
Let's do it.
Let's go. Okay. I think my RT60, mine's really low. Mine's like 120. 120 milliseconds.
Wow. That's very low.
Yeah.
So I did introduce some of my clips on that note, but a lot of them I did it after the clip, so I felt that was fair, I guess. And one of the reasons I did it is, I don't know about you guys, but going through like demo material, it was excruciating for me to whittle it down to what, right? And so then you kind of want people to know like why you chose that. So I love Ryan's point about how it's not fair to influence everyone's like, this is what you're going to hear. And then, you would like to stay away from that. But then if you tell them afterwards, that's kind of like fair game.
Yeah, I agree.
It's a better way to do it, I suppose. And I was probably half and half. And a lot of times I was running out of time. And I wasn't even saying anything about them. But when I had time, like with smaller groups and stuff, I would try to like, if I didn't introduce the clip, I would try to say something about it afterwards.
Yes.
I was haphazard about it. But yeah, I had to be in there kind of anyway, because it was like I was switching discs around for part of it. And I don't know, a lot of times too, I was kind of wanting just to give a break for people's ears. You know, And so, and on the note of like what I would, you know, change or was curious about, I would love to know from. I wish we had a post-mortem survey to say who thought, like, because I'm always worried about the volume in my room. Is it too loud for people? And it's a preference thing, right?
What do you run at?
I run about 68 dBs for movies and louder than that for music. And I very, very seldom go louder than 68 dBs, or, you know, let's say 6 to 8 under reference, depending on where your AVR sets, you know, your master volume reference for an Atmos mix. But I'm usually right about 68 dBs where I feel it's loud, but it's not piercing. And I don't, by the way, I know I had some people question, I've never had any, I don't have any hiss, I don't have any problems with my hearing, I don't have any tinnitus, nothing. And so I'm just saying, I don't have any of that. Okay. But I'm always really curious. I don't want to blow people's experience out, because that can ruin a demo. If it's just 2 dBs too much for you, and everybody else is having this great time, and you're sitting there thinking, it's just a little bit harsh. It's just a little bit. Can you back it down a little bit? So I'd love to have that feedback. Wouldn't that be great? And I'd love to know different people's opinions about it too. It might vary quite a bit.
Feedback's really important, especially constructive criticism. I wish more people would do it. Like, tell me what you didn't like.
Yeah, go ahead. It's okay. Like, you're not gonna hurt my feelings. I've had the room for a long time now, and I'm changing it a lot, and I plan to change it a lot. Believe it or not, I plan to change it a lot. So go for it.
We got a screen. He's gonna do.
I feel like Jonathan's building up a counterpoint list in his head over there right now.
No, I just think you'd get a lot of opinions.
Yeah,
that it would be like, I'll give you a funny example that comes to mind. A couple came in. There was kind of an older couple on the crawl, not terribly old, but just like my age or older, a little older. And for the women in the group, you know, traditionally women don't like it as loud as men. That's just been my experience through 15, 20 years of this hobby. So being that she was like, probably in my opinion, not going to go for the loud music, I just asked her, I said, do you know what you like for volume preferences? Like, how loud do you like it? Because I said, I plan to go up to reference, no higher than reference, but I plan to go to reference for some of the movie clips. And I said, if that's too loud, you can come back and sit with me at this back table and it won't be as loud because you'll be out of the surround field. And her husband said she doesn't really like anything over -40. And I was thinking, oh boy. So then I said, well, she should probably come back here with me because we're going to be hitting reference. Well, funny thing about that demo was for the second set, when I had my first shift, she sat in this main seat and I was playing reference clips, and I fully expected, I mean, like, no apology, I was going to play reference clips. That's what I was doing. I expected her to kind of scuttle out of there and run towards the back of the room. I think I'm kind of like what my mom would do, you know, if she was in here.
Quote unquote let her have it.
I just did what I was going to do. Like, I didn't change it. And she stayed there the whole time and seemingly enjoyed it. So sometimes, I guess where I'm going with it, you're going to have all kinds of stated preferences, but when they're actually here, do their preferences, like I'm not going to play it for -40. You know what I mean? Like, the preference that she stated, or that was stated for her, wasn't really maybe what she actually experienced or what she thought she
I think a big part of that, though, is distortion. I think people, and I tell people this in my room a lot, is that what most people conflate as volume is actually them hearing distortion. And that's why we have a tendency to like it at a lower volume. I mean, think about concerts. You get into these PA systems and stuff that could hit absurd volumes without distortion, and we're in there rocking out. Your ears aren't hurting until the next day or 2 days later. So super loud, but you're not hurting. And I think what a lot of people think is loud is distortion. And so when you get into a room that doesn't have the distortion, you're more comfortable to push the volume up because you don't.
I think that's true. And I did, especially towards the end of the day, I asked the groups, I said, are your ears getting raw? Would you like me to bring down the volume a little bit? And not one group, nobody in any group said bring it down. So from my perspective, at least in that time frame, the last 2 or 3 groups that I was asking that question, they were all for it.
Mm-hmm. I had one group complain about a demo that was louder than others, so I took it out, but I didn't have any other complaints about volume being too loud, and I ran at reference.
Stupid question. Can you do a per volume clip adjust or no?
In Kscape?
Yeah, in Kscape.
No.
Yeah, I was checking JRiver and I didn't spot anything for it either. But you can on Flex. Is that what you said, Sheldon?
You can with JRiver. I think it's the same way you do particles. Like you can change the master volume on the particle from.
Well, documentation says nothing about it.
Desert Dome used to do that, and DL Beck, David used to do that. I've never done it, but I know that capability is there because they've done it and told me they did it.
Okay. Well, AI said I can't, and their documentation didn't have anything on search. So if you find it,
text Mike.
I'll hit up Michael. I'll hit up Desert Dome.
I'll tell you.
Hey, dude. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Have you guys noticed that when you're doing clips by yourself in your room, it sounds louder than when you get a bunch of people in there? All those, we're mostly water. You get a bunch of water bags. It really makes a big difference.
Do you think that's it?
That's my theory, anyway.
All right. So who haven't we went through? Did we do Grant already?
I see Scott in the chat is saying that. I said as old as me or maybe around that same age. So I'm not saying you're older. I'm just saying for the crowd, there was a lot of younger people in the crowd. So
all right, Ryan, what about you?
I lost track of the thread. What are we still answering?
So we're talking about what you wish you could have changed.
So I tried so hard to do exactly what I'm describing, and that's I wish I could have had immersive audio as a video clip. So, and the only reason why I say as a video clip is so I can play it back in line in a list with all the other stuff, right? Like I wish like I played a audio clip from Glass Animals. The name of the song is called Airlock. I played one of those. Oh, I can't remember her name. She does all those like super pumped up Atmos effects, sort of like electronic techno kind of music. I forget her name though. And then the other one was Peter Gabriel's I.O. album. And I wanted all of those as video clips. And I burned literally. I didn't go to bed for 2 days that week. I just went straight through the night trying to find a way, just with the gear I have, to capture the live stream of the audio through Apple Music. And I was able to sort of pull it off, except for, so I used something called Sphere 16. And then I used another app called, shoot, it's escaping my brain right now. Loopback is this app, is so cool too. How you can create like infinite amount of like audio nodes linking each other together on your computer system if you want to. But it was only capturing, I think I maxed out at 714, and they were all locked channels instead of objects, right? Because it's just capturing a stream, so it's whatever is coming through. And so the dynamic range wasn't quite as good. It just didn't sound quite as good, so I sort of abandoned it. I literally had a couple songs saved out all the way through, where I would then take that captured stream that I captured in Logic Pro, and then I saved that out, and I brought that file into the Dolby renderer, and that lets you spit out a black screen MP4 with the audio Atmos intact. But then I was like, oh man, I'm getting there. And I go in there and I A/B it in the theater room. And like, the other one's clearly better. Damn it.
This is why Ryan gets standing ovations and we're stuck getting,
I was
nothing.
thinking the same thing.
Me, I'm walking up to the screen because I can't even read the JRiver thing at 4K. I'm like 5 feet away. Like, I think this is what I want.
I think this says what I want. Oh, wrong clip. Let me hit the space bar. Oh crap, I didn't mean to pause it.
I'm like, shit, I put the Blu-ray disc in. Oh no, get the
yeah, Grant's got us all beat, man.
FBI warning again. Not again.
But the next crawl, that's probably what I'll do. I'll find immersive audio ones that I know are released on Blu-ray, buy the Blu-rays, get them ripped, and just get a video made out of them, because that's how they play back, because they play back as a video, because there is no downloadable Atmos music format for playback. It doesn't exist. Which is a kind of a bummer.
It's a bummer.
Yeah.
Ryan, I'm going to rewind the conversation just a second. Chirpy, for what you had mentioned with your kind of like your previous scroll where you had like the bass and the surround and the
Right.
animal abuse thing. I started playing with that using DaVinci Resolve, and I made a intro like that, and I thought this isn't going to work because the Epson takes like 7 seconds to lock onto an HDMI signal, and if you make that shorter than like say 20 or so seconds, it's not able to like read everything. So you got like a 7-second bring in, 20 seconds there, 7-second like HDMI sync out. You're wasting 30 seconds a clip. If you have it like with our timeline, I just didn't want to add that time in there.
I'm surprised to hear that. So I'm going to try to guess why. Not necessarily surprised, but what I had to do, because like I did seat rotations, right? And so yeah, it took a little bit of time for it to sync to the clip, but it wasn't bad. And the reason why is I don't. Maybe all equipment's different, but I made sure the formats and the resolutions matched the previous and next clip. Like if I went from like a different resolution and in a different audio format, my lock-on times were longer. So
Yeah,
I made sure
that
to
makes
line them up
sense.
to each other.
So if you made it in the HDR or SDR container the previous clip was, and you made it
The same audio.
the frame rate, yes, the same audio. Your HDMI your handshakes would be smaller. I didn't do
Yeah.
that. I was just using DaVinci's like default.
So that's and DaVinci will like you can't like there are limitations. You can export something. It's a type of wave file that's multi-channel and stores Atmos objects that you can export out of DaVinci Resolve, but it doesn't render it to video for you. You have to do that stupid final step that they make you pay $400 a year for the license from Dolby, which is such a
trying to do
rotten move on their part. And you can't hit the high C's on the internet to find it either. I've checked.
Grant, did we do you already?
Yeah.
Okay. For me, smaller groups.
Yeah.
That hurt. Not being able to like give one group my entire attention the entire time. I would have liked to do music, and I think I really had to shrink down the demo clips. I could only really demo to each group for about 30 minutes. And then couldn't do anything else because 2-channel. I wanted to do more 2-channel in there, and I couldn't do any of it. So that sucked. Other things, having things not blow up would be a good one. That's an important one, and
not killing the attendees.
Yeah, trying not to take people's lives, but smaller groups is probably my biggest one. I haven't done very much. I haven't done very much in this room as far as demos for big groups, so it's still trying to learn and figure it out.
What did you guys think the appropriate number is?
Yeah, I was just gonna say. So if we do it, not if, but when we do it again, do we say, all right, first 30 this time instead of first 60?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I needed like groups of 5. Ideally.
I was trying to push
Ryan,
that number down from the get-go. Jonathan wanted to invite the entire country over. I'm like, what are you smoking, boy?
I hate that it filled up in like 2 days.
I did too. We can do it more often.
Fair enough. You're right. And yet,
just do more sessions.
We'll do twice a year. Once a month.
Yeah.
Once a month. You're on your own.
Oh, that would kill me. I'm totally
Anthony, you're wrong. 2-channel is a waste of speakers. I think Sheldon was in audio nirvana.
No, man. It depends on the speakers. Like if you hear those black swans.
Yeah, those are great speakers.
You gotta
okay,
get the right speaker.
So if you had Anthony in there for the 2-channel, don't tell him it is. Tell him it's up mixed or it's Atmos or it's whatever. And I mean, I would have believed it for sure that it's not 2-channel.
Yeah, 2-channel.
I did some 2-channel stuff at the top. The first 2 clips were 2-channel.
Man, I wish I could have done some. I didn't have time.
Well, you got quite a bit of people in there over the weekend at some point.
Yeah, but I would have liked to give everybody the same experience. And
it was
we
awesome.
ran 2-channel for a long time on Saturday night, but I
loved it.
I wish I could have demoed to one group for an hour. That would have been nice.
Yeah.
Instead of 30 minutes. That's my big thing. Maybe I should just rip the room out and start over and build 2 rows.
Well, yeah. It was such a difference from M-Wave because at M-Wave we had, Jonathan and I were talking about this. I think we had 2.5 hours per group, if I remember right.
2 hours. That would have been nice.
Yeah.
Well, for the M-Wave demos, like when the VIP guests
Yeah,
came
the
through.
VIP
Yeah.
is 2.5 hours.
Was
Yeah.
it 2:15 or was it 2.5? I don't remember.
It
I don't
was
remember.
2.5. It was
My
2.5.
room didn't even have lights
2.5.
at that point. It was just
Yeah,
a dark
it was
abyss.
2.5 hours. Then that one was like, I would call that like the this one was more like the marathon version, and that one was more I don't know. It was just more fleshed out where I had time to like literally I spent like 15 minutes talking about the room and what I was trying to pull off before we even started. And I left 15, 20 minutes to talk to people after it was over. And if I would have done that here, there would have been, that would have been over half the time we had the demo right there. And then also too, with the M-Wave one, there was time to do some requests too, right? Whereas this one, it's like, look, I have a few things that I want you to experience in here, and then you got to get out. So I don't want to call it a more premium experience. They're just different approaches.
Tony still told me a funny story, Ryan, and maybe you saw it firsthand. But he said that they had a little agreement with the Group 5, I think it was, that they would always switch, like informally, proactively, voluntarily switch within the group, like after every 2 or 3 clips or whatever.
They did.
And they said that they were kind of joking around every time you had your like, please switch your seats clip, like that counted, and so it was making their tempo off because of your extra.
Yeah, and
seats.
I had it all set up. I was gonna have right when everybody switched, and then that group comes in, and I'm like, as a teacher, I'm like, I've lost the class here. I have no control of what's going on.
Lost them. Yeah, I let them do their own thing, but that was the only group that did. Everybody else, I was real strict about it. Every like 2, max 3 clips, I made them switch.
I did 3 rotations, which means people sat in 4 different locations, right?
What I
like
did.
Start in one, and then you do 3 locations. I had a stupid map that I made a graph for that said, this is where you were, this is where you're going to be. And so if you just follow your number on screen, everybody gets a shot at the
What
money.
is this?
You are here in the universe.
I just
You
went
were here,
all
now
right.
you're here, I think is what it said.
This was me. All right, have fun. Door shut, and then they were on their own.
Sometimes it worked, and other times,
Figure it out.
like one of the groups, I think we were down to like 7 or 8 out of 12. So I'm like, just when that shows up, move your butt to somewhere else so somebody gets a shot. And it
Ryan,
worked
if
fine.
you don't next time have some sort of crane system that comes down and moves every chair where it needs to go.
Ryan's
I'm
walking
gonna
around
hire
with a
people with
tray of
shock
beverages
sticks, right? Like rolling the aisles, like move it, cattle prods.
Oh, I felt like a control freak though, because I'd be in the back, and when I'd see people weren't reclined in the front row, I about had a heart attack. Like, dude, you gotta recline. Get those feet up. You can't be touching concrete and feeling craziness at the same time. So good.
Anything else?
Well, that was the fun part, actually. Just like making like little observations and whatnot. Like I started watching for it after I saw one person do it. Like I played one scene from Avatar: Way of the Water, where there's this. It's near the end where this giant boat type ship on water in outer space hits like a landmass and hits it, and it goes up in the air slowly and then comes back down. But due to the angle, like I spotted in 3 different groups. You know how like some people when they play video games, they think if they take the controller and go like this, it'll make the character on screen jump higher. Well, that's sort of like what their head's doing while they're watching the movie. Like literally as the ship goes up, they go like this. Like that, right? Which is kind of cool.
Hey, Scott's friend, comment of the night so far. That cracked me up.
You have to read out loud. The audience can't see it.
Oh, Chirpy's voiceover was like iRobot. We changed out of fear.
Yeah, it sounded like a very strict British lady, like probably carrying a whip. I don't know.
You will change. Anything else in closing?
No,
my last group. Oh, go ahead, Grant.
I just want to like anybody listening to like encourage other people in other places to go ahead and get it together and organize it and make it happen. We just desperately need more of this in the home theater space. It's such a great event, but also like man, like like I don't want home theater to die. I want more enthusiasts. I don't want more, just people watching on a tablet. And it takes a lot of this probably grassroots stuff to get people excited about it and understand what's possible and that they can do it in their own space. And here's, 5 people, whatever, with different rooms, different budgets, different tastes and everything. And here's how they executed it. And you can do it. And I just really want to encourage that. And I think that's why a lot of us are doing this, because we really want to evangelize what you can do, what you can accomplish. And even on a smaller budget, it's cool. So anyway, I just want anybody out there listening, do it. And one of the reasons we're doing this podcast is to help you organize yours. So yeah.
Speaking of smaller budgets, it's very possible to create a room that you liked more than any of ours in your own house because you get to set it up the way you want.
Yeah.
I think that's the beauty of the hobby. You tweak your room how you want it. I think all of us would say we enjoy being in our room better than anywhere else, and that's just because you can do how you want it. So I'm sure there were people on the crawl that were like, well, shoot, I kind of like my room better. Well, that makes sense because you can set it up however you want. That's the beauty of it.
Tailor to your preferences.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also, like, to piggyback what you were saying, Grant, too, like, the nice thing about doing crawls like this or whatever is, like, some people say, oh, well, like, the next generation just isn't even interested in a hobby like this anymore. And it's like, there may be some truth to that. But I think it's also simply, like, almost zero exposure anymore, right? Like brick and mortar stores, they're all gone.
Yeah. Where are you going to get the experience besides a commercial theater? And you probably don't think that you can really do that in your own home and better.
Or not be aware that you can get something better.
Yeah, I think way better.
The perception of that can be true, but I have to think back to where we were if we're talking about the other generation, the generation before us. I mean, that's going to be Gen Z, right? And Gen Z is significantly younger. And I don't know that they've gotten to the point where this is what matters to them yet. So they just may not be there yet.
Maybe.
And we
millennials are the ones before me.
They need to be able to have a house first. We got to fix that.
Be a millennial.
True. Anything else?
I thought one thing that was kind of fun, my last group, I think it was group 4 in my case, because it was the last one of the night, we went a little longer and I did let them do some requests and stuff. And that's always actually kind of fun. They get to hear a song they're familiar with. They get excited. They made multiple requests from some stuff on Apple. We went back to music, watched some stuff on Apple Music HD, Dolby Atmos clips. I enjoyed it because I got to see some new stuff that they showed me. Like, it's nice to have that time built in if you can, to have that little bit of off runway, experience. I don't know. I wish we had. Yeah. Almost like you need a little bit more time than we had to make sure that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
To some
degree. Agreed.
One of the biggest things for me as a host is always finding new material and things that I haven't done. Going to Expona, really the only thing I liked was finding songs that I like and demo material and new things that I hadn't been exposed to before. So that's one thing that I really enjoy, is from those requests and from going to other demos and from seeing other people's spaces and experiences, is learning about things that I'd never heard or seen or experienced before. And that's great. One more time. Anything else?
I just want to say, everybody, I already said it before in the thread, but you're always nervous opening your house up to people. And man, everybody was so cool. And I was so glad I did it. And I met a lot of awesome people.
This was a good group.
It was a great group. Like, so, I'm not saying it,
Well, and realistically, Grant, I feel like the 3 times we've done these crawls, 2015, 2017, and now.
Yeah.
In all cases, all the people were great. I thought. I mean, like I enjoyed,
and the 2 years of M-Wave too.
Yeah, I mean, it's like
that too.
It's like, I don't know that I've had a bad guest experience yet. I mean, out of all the years and all the people we've had and done this.
Same. Yep.
That's pretty cool.
That's pretty cool. It speaks to the community, and you don't need to be too afraid of doing this out there. You know, you all, it's gonna be okay.
Mm-hmm. I agree with that. There's a few questions. I'm going to try and stick to the ones that are room centric.
While he's pulling up the questions, I have one more thing I'd like to say. I've been to all your guys' rooms, and I like all your rooms, and I think it's interesting and telling to some degree. I saw the comment in here that kind of made me think of this. When we went to the commercial cinema on Friday night, like arguably one of the best theaters in Kansas City, if not the best, right? Dolby Cinema. I would rather watch a movie in any of our rooms than the Dolby Cinema.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's a cool place to be with this hobby, right? Where we've bettered the commercial cinema for our own experience. And subjective preferences being what they are, like it's in the league even if it's not your exact subjective preference. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah. It's always a
agree with
letdown
that.
to go to the theater. That's why I
Oh.
never go.
Yeah.
So Scott Friend asks, how's the Epson projector working out for you, Jonathan?
We're watching it right
It
now,
looks
man.
great right now.
Yeah.
Backstory, man. Catch them up.
No, it's I'm enjoying it. It's nice and bright. It's probably 2 times, 3 times brighter than my LS12000. Black levels are a little worse,
You
but
knew that
Everybody's gonna
going
know
in.
what model it is, Jonathan.
we knew that going in. It's the QL3000,
There you
and you know, like it's a good fit for my room and my use case. Wonderful for gaming. Like we've been playing some games on it. Super smooth, super bright, punchy. It's fun.
Do you like the motion on that over the LS12000 or vice versa?
So it's different, and I'm not sure I've decided yet. Whereas the LS12000, to my eyes, would occasionally show artifacts, but was like 80 or 90% good. Like I really like it, the frame interpolation. This QL3000, to my eyes, is like a step down in the smoothness. It's kind of like more of a hybrid between a smooth motion and a 24 frames per second native. So perhaps someone who didn't like frame interpolation as much on the LS12000 might like this more, but it's definitely different, like clearly different, a different integration or a different implementation.
Chirpy, this one's for you. Chirpy, are you planning to do any room treatments? Think that would be the icing on the cake.
Oh yes, that's been in the works for a while. I've already ran the numbers to try to target roughly a 0.35 RT60 number in my room.
What are you now?
What's that?
What are you
It's
now?
high. It's 0.5 something. So it shows up on some material more than others, as you might expect. Anything that's like that has a higher pitch with a quick stop in the brakes. But I would equate the overall thing as it's just a little bit shrilly when things get louder because everything gets trapped in that room. So I've been through 5 different design variations so far. I need to get back to that. I sort of paused the room treatments. I was working on it. I even started building my own skyline diffusers. I have the range that I calculated for how big it needs to be and the sizes of my wells and how many columns and rows there are and stuff like that. But it is in the works. I've just had the 5 designs rejected by my significant other. Although the last one I did, she didn't hate it outright. So I'm getting closer. And
Design or money?
In this case, design.
Really?
Yeah. So it's design. So the treatments are next on the list. And then, of course, the other one is I do need a brighter projector. And that would be what you just said, Grant.
Yeah, okay. Got it.
Eventually.
But yeah,
all
things with time. We'll see what we can do.
All things in time. That's it. There's some other questions, but they're not really pertaining to this. Thanks for joining us. Does anybody have this one more time? Because things keep coming up. You guys keep thinking of things to say. Anything else?
Grant, is that from the Gomer's tasting?
Oh, you didn't say but we could ask the questions.
I have that 4-pack. Are you having one right now?
Oh yeah, this guy. Yeah.
I have that 4-pack downstairs right now, and I almost got it. Just hoping
21 and
that
older
you would
stream
have
now.
it too. But no, I have a barrel aged beer here instead. But that was fun. We'll have to do that again next time when it pops up. That was a blast.
Yeah, it was.
Okay. Well, gentlemen, thanks for joining us. Thanks for opening up your rooms for the Kansas City Crawl. Thanks to Jonathan for doing a lot of the organization. That was a huge
Good job.
undertaking.
We should also mention that we had 3 volunteer hosts on Sunday, and thank you to them as
Oh,
well.
yeah,
right,
Kevin,
Yeah,
Good
both
job.
Kevins.
This
I
is what
am.
you fell at, Jonathan.
That's right.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of the out of town people really appreciated that, to have something else to do the next day, and more experiences, more rooms. I mean, I think that was a great thing for people.
Agree. More the merrier. The more rooms that people get to see, the exposure goes up, and I think their overall experiences go up.
Mhm.
And they can drill
And-
down into discovering their preference priorities much
Mhm.
faster that way.
It's always different.
Yeah.
It's always different. A lot of our rooms are very similar, though.
They've
Compression
gotten that
drivers,
way.
yeah.
They've gotten that way over
Yeah.
time.
They have. They've
I
all.
was kind of laughing about that because 3 of us have the line arrays and 2 of them
Whoa.
are Ascendo and JTR.
Not
which are
line
from the same
arrays.
family too. So it's like
But we had 5 different projectors.
5 different projectors and all different subjective tests with bass and kind of stuff. Just
And
don't-
also a friendly reminder that you can have the same model speaker and they can actually sound fairly different in different acoustic spaces.
Significantly
There's a lot of
different.
other shaping involved.
Significantly different through
Yeah.
implementation, the room, subjective taste, all different kinds of stuff.
Noise
And only
floor.
2 people with the same main speakers, the same LCR. Only 2, right? Is that right? Yeah.
No, 3 people have them.
But only 2
Not
as
LCRs.
LCRs
Yeah.
though, which is the big deal. Like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, just 2.
That is true.
Yeah.
That is true.
We had some different experiences.
All right. Well, I think we'll plan one again. I think we need to do this more because, if anything,
Right.
it's just to see everybody, and I like the social aspect and the relationship building
Yeah, it was
Um,
great.
that I think comes with it. So we definitely need to do it more. And I encourage Grant, like you said, other people in other areas to do the same thing. It can be a little scary, right? Because you're inviting a lot of people that you don't know. But one of the coolest things is you form a lot of friendships from that. Like I didn't know any of these guys 5 years ago, and this is where we are now. And some of these guys have known each other a lot longer than that. I'm the newbie in the group. So I think if you're willing to open up your home and you're willing to start small with a couple guys or a couple people and see where things go, you can find that it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun to share in the hobby that we all love. It's great to experience it by yourself, but one of the coolest things about home theaters is something that is designed to be shared with other people. And if you can do that, especially with other people that love the space, there's nothing better. Seeing other people's expressions light up when they're experiencing something that you did, it's like a drug. Gets you high.
Yeah,
And it's cool to see. So
it is.
I just encourage people to help the space continue to grow, because I don't think it's dying. I think it is growing. And see what's around the next corner. So we'll do this again. I think it'll be sooner than later. Don't anticipate anything happening this summer. But I think it'll be sooner than later, because the last one was a few years before this one. 8 years, wasn't it?
Yeah, 2017.
Yeah.
So I think we'll do it quite a bit
little
more.
thing called COVID was in the middle somewhere.
Well, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. But we could have done this last year.
And then
the year
Sheldon
before.
pointed out it's not like it's really been that long, to be fair, because we did the M-Wave
M-Wave
thing
last 2
for
years.
2 years.
You were right.
Yeah.
That filled in the gap.
I guess that's true. But this felt different. This was more free-spirited. This was more, I don't know, casual than I think that felt. So I'm glad we did it. I'm glad you guys opened up your rooms to be able to make this happen. It was a good time. So with that, we'll close this one out. We've been going for an hour and a half, and I don't want to eat up any more of your guys' times than you've already offered. So appreciate you coming out, and watch the thread, because you never know when we're going to decide to do something else. Maybe the Wisconsin guys and the guys around Chicago, Tony,
Yeah.
you
That's
guys
right.
can do something, and we can come to you and not have to worry about anything, and you can put in the work.
I like watching other people suffer. That would be
Yeah, watching other people suffer. Putting you on the spot.
yeah.
Pressure them on AVS. They need to do it next. Daryl says, will there be an M-Wave next year? There will be in 26. The dates, nobody knows this yet, but you do now. It's going to be the week of June 10th. So that week, I think it's
Very cool.
so
Sweet.
the 12th through the 14th is going to be the dates, and 11th, 10th, and most of the 12th is going to be set up. So we've got that space locked in at the Kansas City Convention Center. I am partnering with AVS Forums to make that happen. So we are we're go for 26.
He's dropping a bomb out of nowhere.
Okay.
Well,
Oh.
Matt brought it up.
Yeah,
So
wait till the end.
it's happening. I wasn't going to say
Mic
anything, but he
drop.
brought it up. So, and I just got that locked in with the convention center. The only problem with that date is this stupid small thing called the World Cup. So we'll see.
Oh, wow.
It's before the World Cup, but it is something that's happening. So it's the World Cup's like a couple weeks later. So we're going to see what happens. We could shift a little bit as far as dates, so don't get anything yet. But that's the date as of right now. I am trying to work around that. But then you've got other things like audio advice is the very beginning of August. And then you have this other small thing at the end of August, beginning of September called Cedia, which gets in the way of a lot of this. So I'm trying to shift towards like May, but it's tough with how things are booked up. And we're a small fry in comparison to what other conventions the Kansas City Convention Center holds. But I want to do it there because their rooms they're really good for what we try to use. They're not perfect, but I mean, in comparison to a lot of the expos that you guys have been to and I've been to, it's so much better having those cinder block rooms and being able to load in and load out. It's just, So that's happening.
Awesome.
That's it. So I'm going to close it out. Thanks, guys, for giving us your time. Thanks, guys, for giving us your spaces during this crawl. Thanks for everybody that participated during the crawl and putting in your time and flying and traveling. It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun to meet all of you. I think I speak for everybody here that we all enjoyed it. At least I think they did. If they don't, they're hiding it very well. So until next time, guys, stay safe out there. Enjoy your home theater setups. Enjoy the journey, because that's the fun part, is the ride. Getting to the destination. We'll see you guys next time. Sometime next weekend, whenever we decide to do it. Have a good one.
Right.
Bye.